The boys are back, boy. The boys are back. Let's do this. Let's do
Hey.
this. Uh, uh, uh. What's up, boys and girls? It's Hoopin' and Hollerin for the third straight time. 3 for 3. Your boys are back. The Pharaoh on the mic with his co-hosts. One, the mayor of Loudville, Austin. How we doing, baby?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, baby. The best GM Madden has ever seen. If you think you're going to run up on this man in Madden, you got another thing coming with a 96 Cam Hayward. What's going on, Ellis?
I've been in the lab cooking, like you just said. I've been in the lab building a franchise up. I mean, the thing is, with all the success, I'm thinking about buying a team. And all this time off.
With that
Oh,
Charles
this time
Schwab's
off,
account
I've
you
been-
just opened up, buddy?
Yeah. Mallory doesn't know yet, but she's investing that money with me for a purpose. To buy
Hey,
a
man,
team.
all I'm saying, by the time with all the – now that I know how much I bet and how much I have from not betting, I think I could own like 6 franchises by now. That's how crazy this shit has been. So, but, you know, it's been tough with this coronavirus, but we're doing our best to flatten the curve. You know, our stance is stay home. Get somebody pregnant if you're with them. Don't if you don't.
Don't do
keep
that.
doing.
Please
Don't do that. Do you know how much money kids cost?
Do not
I mean,
do that.
Hey man, we're all doing our social distancing thing, and it's good because the NBA really wants their season to come back to life. I don't know if you all saw this, but Adam Silver is looking into testing for the coronavirus, something that could give results within 5 minutes, so we don't have another Gobert shit happen again, where a dude just comes out and has coronavirus touching all the microphones and does lambada on the fucking court, puts his dick on everything, and the next thing you know, everybody has coronavirus. So I'm going to throw it to you, Austin, first. My man, what do you think is going to actually happen? Do you think this is going to happen? Do you think in time for an NBA season? Or are we going to say fuck 2019, 2020 season, and we're just going to think about next year?
I'm going to start with Ellis. Are you listening to your TV? I can hear it.
What?
Somebody's TV's going on in the background. I hear it.
I don't got TV on.
I hear it through my headset.
My TV's on, but it's really low. Can you really hear it?
Yeah.
My man.
I got this Oregon cow throwback going on
Bro,
over here.
I hear everything through the headset. Anyways, what I think is gonna happen, I mean, if they're gonna be able to get those 5-minute tests or whatever that they're talking about, you know, then they'll be able to. I mean, I think even if you test everybody, that's not even gonna be the biggest problem. It's gonna be quarantining them still. So you're still gonna have to figure out a solution to get everybody in one place and have them not travel. That's gonna be just the hardest thing, and I just don't know if they have the capacity for that yet. That's the only thing that's keeping them back. Even if you test everybody and they're not positive for it, what are they gonna do?
That's a good point. Austin brings up though. If somebody tests positive again, you're just gonna shut down again, right?
Well, if they test somebody positive, say like we're on a team, we're all been social distancing, we get tested and they said we're straight, and you go out there and you play against everybody else who tested positive, you're gonna play basketball, right? We're not gonna have fans in the stands. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like kind of like what WWE did. They kind of like made sure everybody was tested before they got to WrestleMania, and look what happened. Like they had an event. I guess they made money because it was the only thing that was on TV. But if we're a team and we're all been tested negative, I guess, and everybody else was tested negative, you would play, right?
Yeah, no, I just mean like, but with WWE they have that whatever, I don't know, that training center is called where they held it all. That's what you're going to need, though. You're going to need one central place because we're not going to be able to have teams travel to other teams. So you're still going to need one central place to play, and that's just another logistical thing that they have to figure out. I mean, obviously the best choice would be to test everybody, make sure they're all good anyways, and they should get to playing soon. I just think the testing is once they find out they can test, and I'm sure right now they're in talks with the companies, and I'm sure they are able to get everybody tested right now. I don't think that's the biggest issue. I think the biggest issue is, okay, we did test everybody. Now where do we go from here? Do we go right to the playoffs? Are we going to isolate everybody? Are you going to be able to tell these family people like LeBron, you see how much he posts all the time with his family. Are you really about to tell these guys, the faces of the league, that, hey, you're going to be quarantined from your family for 3 months just to come play basketball and entertain people? Like, that's just the next step of what that's going to make things difficult.
You know me. If I was Adam Silver, I'd be telling these motherfuckers to get on a plane. Let's do this thing. I'd be like, nah, fuck your family. You wanted your dream. Here's your dream, bitch.
I mean, I don't disagree, but where are you doing it? Where are you doing it? Where's a centralized location that everybody can meet?
Get the Dana White Island.
That day, he put that on the table and said, I got a private island coming in here, finalizing that 1 to 2 days. They can't let me bring the fighters in here. I'll bring the fighters there.
Exactly, man. Just
That's
essential personnel. Essential personnel.
Hey, you guys see that Chuck and Tito doc off script, but it's good to bring this in. The Chuck and Tito doc with the UFC.
Nope.
What do you mean?
Good doc to watch. Like, it's just about the rise of the UFC and the Chuck and Tito rivalry, about how just how UFC got big, but how Dana White took over the UFC and things go about it. That was a money making man. So you watch that and you realize that dude's all about money. I think it's in these situations, it's how much do we love sports and how much do these guys love money to keep it going? Because if you do the test, so it's like a prickle test. They test it like diabetes. You test your blood. You get that test back within 15 minutes. You're not only going to have to test the players, you're going to have to test everybody that's around the players. So you're going to test player personnel. You're going to test medical doctors. You're going to test everybody that comes around. How many tests are you using a night? Because how often are you going to test everybody? You're going to test them each time they have a game. So what happens on back-to-backs? Like, are you going to test that day? Or are you going to test after the back-to-back? I think that's a question. So that's a lot of tests. So I look at it ethically of, are you going to use up all these tests so we can watch sports again? I don't know. I love sports. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But that's going to take a plethora amount of tests just for us to watch sports. And when most people that need to know in those 15 minutes, what about them that could actually use it? I think that's what's kind of holding it back too.
I think it's just where we're going to be at when this does come out, because clearly we're trending in the right direction of like testing and the curve being flattened. I guess it's just up to everybody else. Like, I mean, like look at what they're doing now with the. I guess this is the perfect time to bring it up. The horse contest coming to you live April 12th.
That horse! Oh my god!
Oh god!
So let's
Trae
read
Young
off
for the win.
Dude, first of all, how could we not in a year 2020 not find some better entertainment than that?
Like, right? Like something better.
They got to come up with a horse. Like, you can't. Like, the 2K challenge wasn't actually that bad an idea. I didn't mind that they were doing that. I didn't watch it because I'm not going to watch scrubs play 2K when I could watch professionals play 2K, or professional gamers still game. You know what I mean? Like, Twitch and things. Like, professional gamers are still gaming. You could watch them. I'm not going to watch Andre Drummond and versus whoever the hell he was playing. But man, really a horse competition. That's the best we could create with all this technology, with all these multimillionaires that have private gyms in their houses. Horse.
Here's the contestants. Let's just talk about the contestants real quick. We have Trae Young against Chauncey Money-Making Billups. And then we have Chris Paul.
Trash.
Chris Paul against
who's trash?
Ali Quayle. Yeah, he's talking about Chauncey Billups was trash. He wasn't talking about Trae Young.
Yeah.
Zach LaVine.
Trae Young.
I thought you, yeah.
Tamika Catchings against Mike Conley Jr., Zach LaVine, and Ellis's favorite player of all time, Paul Pierce.
Nice. Oh, my God. Easily the most.
I think we're all in agreement that the only way – okay, I'm a realistic person, and I'm Me Too movement all the way. You got it. I love you. Women. I have a sister. I hope I have 3 daughters. Thank God. But one dunk and it's over, right?
Hey, but
Like, I'm not trying to be a
It took him
dick.
a while to spit it out. It took him a while to spit it out.
But like, come on, can I be honest? One dunk and those two are gone. The two women are gone. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick. Wasn't like Brittany Griner's dunk like the first dunk since like the 30-year history?
Candace
of the WNBA?
Candace Parker dunked or somebody like that.
Oh my
Bro,
god.
Hey, I mean, hey, shoot. If that turned into a dunk competition, though, that'd be the worst dunk competition ever. You got two people that are barely scraping 6 foot with Chris Paul and Trae Young out there. I mean, Zach LaVine would absolutely wipe the floor. He's the greatest dunker of all time.
Yeah, but let's be honest. And I think this is what's going to happen. I think Trae Young is going to win the whole thing. Let's just start with that. And I think Paul Pierce blows out a knee. Paul Pierce
gets hurt somehow.
Paul
Shits
Pierce
his
is the most overrated dude of all time.
Most overrated player.
By far. If it wasn't
By
for
far.
KG, if it wasn't for Doc, if it wasn't for Ray Allen, Paul Pierce would be an afterthought. Paul Pierce was the guy. Paul Pierce is Chris Bosh.
Whoa. Except for, I'll say this. No, that's a good comparison, except for people revere him as much
It's
better
disrespectful
than what he
to
is.
Chris Bosh.
No.
And I love Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is actually one of my favorite players, obviously from the Heat days, and I actually liked him when he was in Toronto. But I just think if it wasn't for the team up, I think Paul Pierce would have the same legacy as Chris Bosh if Chris Bosh wouldn't have teamed up with Dwyane and LBJ. So it's like,
Right,
I think
Paul Pierce is top 15 in points too, though. I think he's I think he's 15
Whatever,
points
dude.
all time.
You got to think Draymond said it best in Paul Pierce's farewell season when he said he wanted a farewell season like Kobe and he ain't getting it because nobody likes him.
Paul Pierce is just a dickhead, dude. Like, he's the same guy who said he was better than Dwyane Wade. He's the same guy who talked about how at the finals when he got, or no, what was the Eastern Conference Finals when he pretended like he was hurt? He actually had to take a shit.
I think it was the finals.
No, he had shit his pants. He shit his pants.
He shit himself.
Yeah, he shit himself. Or he had to take a shit. One of the two.
Bro,
Now-
this sounds like the longest yard. I think he just shit himself.
Now, what are you guys thinking? Is this ESPN just forcing all these ESPN personalities on with the Paul
No,
Pierce
this
and
is
with the Chauncey
easily-
Billups, or do you
this
think
is
they
easily Paul
actually are like,
Pierce's-
I want it?
Easily Paul Pierce being like, hey, put me on TV, please. I know I got fired. I got fake fired from ESPN shoot around. What is that shit? I get all excited that he's off of there coming into the season and he's back doing a couple shows and it's like he never left. Anyways, I hate people like Paul Pierce, especially. I mean, I want to go on this rant right now because it's so much I fucking hate Paul Pierce. Because there's those players that talk all that shit like they're generational talent and they're like, oh, if I had this and this, I'm the best player, blah, blah, blah. I always look at those players and I'm like, okay, how did you do before? Like, get the big three, yes, you're a champion. But what were you doing before the big three?
Thank you.
Man was
That's what I'm saying.
trash.
Man
Like,
was garbage.
He averaged that 26 and he averaged that 26 points in 05, almost 27. They were 24 and 58.
Dog, they were so bad.
They were horrible.
No one needed your fucking scoring. They needed a win.
Nobody like Paul Pierce was the truth because, bro, there was nothing to lie about. Like, your team was trash. Like, your team was trash. Like,
There wasn't shit to lie about. That team that you saw come on that court, what you saw
Like,
is
I
what
think
you got. And that was Paul Pierce putting up a good amount of points and they're losing.
exactly. My man was probably like this. Who was probably the second best player before KG and Ray Allen got there? Brian Scalabrine? Like, I don't fucking know.
Oh yeah, you would have to. I mean, you think that Kendrick Perkins is so goddamn old. This man was like 23, 24 playing with Paul Pierce.
Oh,
before
dude,
the
Paul
big
Pierce
three
is
got there.
horrendous.
dog.
I mean, he's not bad. Like, if you look
Not-
at him overall, he's not bad. It's just like he holds himself as a top 10 player all the time. Hell, if you ask him, I'm sure he'd say like, "Oh, I'm top 5." Dude, you're not even top 5 Boston Celtics of all time.
Well, I feel like every basketball player feels that way about themselves. But, like, Paul Pierce is literally like, dog, what are you trying to prove? Like, we saw what we saw. Like, KG was the best player on the team. Like, I don't understand. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, at one point, I feel like Big Baby Davis was better than him. Glenn
Rajon
Davis.
Rondo carried them.
Oh my
rookie Rondo.
And Pierce, and the sad part about Paul Pierce, never had a season where he was in the minus, in plus minus. All positives.
There we go. But
all positives.
Oh my God. Go ahead.
Just going back to Paul Pierce sucks. But going back to this, I'm just re-looking at this list, and it got me thinking, how could we not? This is the best generation of shooters the NBA has ever seen, and how are we stuck with Mike Conley, Chris Paul, and Zach LaVine? Not that Zach LaVine's actually became a really good shooter, but Chris Paul and Mike Conley. When you tell me what's Chris Paul and Mike Conley's best part of their game, you're damn well sure I'm not going to say shooting.
Part of their game is passing the ball.
Passing and defense. They're great two-way guards, but not shooting.
They're doing layups. I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. If Zach LaVine does a dunk, it's not just to the women, it's to the other two too. It's like Trae Young and Mike Conley and fucking Chris Paul ain't dunking the ball. Even Chris Paul almost blew his knees out trying to dunk the ball in All-Star Weekend. Come on, man. It's just where is Steph Curry? Probably bullshitting. Where is Dame Lillard? Probably making fun of Jamal Murray's pubes. I don't fucking know.
Where's Jamal Murray? God damn.
He's getting head from his girl.
Because CP3 I think the CP3 one, you look at that one as definitely against his will. No option. Had to do that. Face of the league, players play NBA PA, everything. He had to do it. And then the rest of the guys look at him.
CP3 was State Farm was hey, we're gonna run so many commercials during this, bro. You have to do
this.
this.
State Farm commercials were running low.
The rest of the guys they found, they're just fuck, man. Who can we get that just absolutely doing nothing but just thinking about basketball? Trae Young and Zach LaVine easily haven't changed out of their warm-up since the season ended.
So right now, I'm looking at the ESPN staff because they did make these ESPNers do it. But damn well, they asked Richard Jefferson, you want to do it? And he's immediately he said no. Same with Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady probably even just ignored their calls. He probably didn't even answer them, knowing what the hell they were going to ask him. I just feel the ESPN staff, I get that they want to show their guys, but I don't see the entertainment in seeing them. I'd rather just give me 8 NBA players right now than some retired. They're not scrubs. They're all Hall of Famers, but they're retired. They're not playing anymore.
Well, they're just doing that because they're oh, okay. So the point of Tracy McGrady, my man Tracy McGrady hasn't had good knees since George Bush was in office. All right. First of all. Second of all, Mike Conley. You ever seen the SpongeBob episode when somebody's yo, the only thing I want you to remember is your fine dining and breathing. Somebody told Mike Conley, only thing I want you to remember is basketball and breathing. And literally that's all that man does. There's nothing Mike Conley could do other than basketball. I promise you. No disrespect, but that man was built to either play basketball or die in the streets.
All right, I know this is off topic, not off topic, but it's a little curveball because we weren't talking about this beforehand. We didn't discuss it. But who would you guys actually like to see in this competition? Just off the top of your head. I'll tell you this damn straight right now from NBA, from ESPN. Kyrie. I would pay money to see Brian Windhorst in it.
No, ESPN staff.
Thank
you for saying that, Mike.
My man, no net.
I would die. I would love. He would be, and him and Jeff Van Gundy. My God, would that be awesome to watch together? And then who else?
I feel Mark Wilson.
You're trying to have some people die. Those.
Hey, that'd be some entertaining TV, wouldn't it?
I feel Mark Jackson would come out in the full uniform, sweating with that towel on his shoulder. If there's one thing I know, it's a bad man in that horse.
Dude, I would lose it if No Neck did it. Or
Woj.
And then in the NBA right now, I'd love to see some other people do it too. Besides, all due respect to Mike Conley and Chris Paul, like we were even saying, they're great players, but Jesus, Kyrie, I think who said that? I would love to see Kyrie in it.
I said Kyrie.
That man can shoot. Sure.
No, that man Kyrie he's done. He's like, nah, if there's no NBA season, I ain't worried about it.
Dude, but Kyrie would just be magical just to see. Like, you see the way he finishes, he'd just be like doing some weird spin off the top corner, perfect corner, like of the backboard. He'd be magic at it. Steph Curry obviously would be awesome at it, but he's coming off injury too.
I think that's also a thing. Like, we're thinking of guys like coming off of injury, like Steph Curry. I know I was thinking KD at one point, but that man, like, all of them are thinking about probably rehabbing, getting themselves right.
Oh, for sure.
And especially those people who have like playoff contentions, like LBJ, AD, Kawhi, Paul George, like those guys who actually have a chance of winning a championship. They don't want to compromise anything if the season does start up and they're like, oh, we have to get back.
I said this. Luka would have been awesome to have in it, though. He's young.
Yeah,
he's exciting. He could shoot from anywhere. Do you guys think it's going to be mainly just like hard shots, or do you think they're doing like trick shots too? Like, what do you think is going to actually be going down?
I think
a lot of ego in there. Hard shots.
Oh, I think it's going to be show your dick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
it's
you made it from 30 feet. I can make it from 40 feet. Like, I think that's all it's going to be.
Penis swinging for sure.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like, I'm going to incorporate my dog and kid shit too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Like the dog is Air Bud and it's just going to lob the ball up somehow to the fucking like Chris Paul.
WNBA players are going to be like doing like bounce off the chair into the hoop and things like that just to compete since they're not going to be able to get that distance.
We're going to have to go to a WNBA game after all this because we've been talking a lot of I think I've talked a lot of shit.
No, you have to go to a WNBA
don't pull us
game.
in the weed.
Don't pull us in it and go purify yourself at it. Really sit there and watch. Grab a beer, hot dog. Sit there and watch good basketball.
I guess I'll sit. Hey, I have Della Don on the Mystics, so when they come,
you guys just won a championship, man. Come on,
I know.
Come support the championship.
Come up. WNBA. All I'm saying is, if a dunk happens, it's over. That's all I'm saying.
Well, not just a dunk; it's distance too. Like it's harder. It's just truth. It's harder for them to shoot from distance because they have to do the full on like running and things like that to take off. Where freaking Trae Young just pulls up like it's a normal shot, even though it's 45 feet away because he's a freak.
If it's like, let's say it's me, let's say I'm Zach LaVine and I'm like against like Trae Young. My ass is doing like some crazy ass dunk and being like, this is over. Like,
they're probably making it not dunk because of the reasons like that. So you got to do a crazy ass layup.
Yeah.
Go get around the rules. Be like 720 layup.
This man, Ellis, you got something to say with that ha there, motherfucker?
No, I said nah. I definitely would. What Austin said. Austin had cleaned it up for me.
Yeah, I got your back, man. Don't you worry about that.
But the biggest thing I think that the ESPN's about to drop is the 10-part Jordan Bulls documentary. I say the Jordan Bulls, but it was more than just Jordan. It was Scottie Pippen, had Dennis Rodman, had Steve Kerr, had Phil Jackson doing the triangle offense for the very, very first time, and it worked. And the biggest thing with it, we all know that how historic those 90 Bulls were. 6 championships. Obviously, the record that was broken by the Warriors, but didn't finish with the ring.
Mm-hmm. Because of who?
Because of LBJ. LBJ and the Cavs.
Say it with
Put some respect on it, man.
Whatever. Anyways, but I'm happy you guys won that championship. I didn't want the Warriors to win. Fuck no. Anyways, but I'm excited to see, like, is there something do you guys think that they're gonna pull out that we haven't heard of? Because we talked about it. We were all born between 1993 and 1996. Like, this happened when we were just kids. Like, obviously, we don't remember anything. Do you think there's things that we're gonna find out that we didn't know back then?
I hope they get into Jordan's, like, obviously it's all rumors and people know Jordan likes to gamble. That's not a rumor, but how he was getting in trouble for gambling, which is why he left for baseball. Like, I hope they actually get into that. I don't want it to be the prototypical, like, oh, he wanted to play for his dad, like everybody, that BS everybody always gives him. There's no way the guy just left in his prime just to go play baseball because his dad wanted him to. There's more to it. I hope they just kind of, like, actually dive into it of, like, hey, there was all these allegations going on. What happened? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to just be the Bad Boys one was great. Like that's what I'm trying to think of. It's going to be a 10-part Bad Boys, except for, I think they could do that for an episode or two, like kind of with the Bad Boys, how it's like we had to build team chemistry, we had to do this. Cool, but I want to see like the behind the scenes stuff of like there's got to be a reason this man left. Give me why he retired, and then I want to know what the team was feeling and if they felt betrayed and things like that. Like I want like deep personal things, not just the basketball side.
Well, you brought up the Bad Boys, and it's funny as fuck because I think the main cog in this whole machine is Dennis Rodman. Like, then in the Bad Boy series, you talked about Dennis Rodman and how he felt like, even in his own 30 for 30, he was like the Pistons were his family. Like he felt like everything was falling apart. And then he went to the enemy basically, and now this man went off the rails. There was a comment in there saying the man missed 3 days of practice and then showed up for a game and told him not to worry about it. He was fixing some things, and it's so funny because Dennis Rodman was this like, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame player. He was a great defensive player, great rebounder. He did all these things, rejuvenized his career in Chicago. So I'm kind of curious to see what Michael and Scotty and Steve Kerr and all these people thought of him. But that's what I'm looking for in the documentary. Alex, what about you?
For me, I'm definitely looking at the partying. You guys ever hear the story of when Jordan drank 10 Bud Lights in the morning before he? Yeah, supposedly he went golfing with somebody's got to look this up. He went golfing with somebody that played for the Blackhawks at the time. I forget his name, and they played a couple rounds in the morning. And Jordan had like 10 Bud Lights, and they played the Cavs, I think, that night. And he went and played that game right after they had chugged all those beers in the morning. But I definitely interested to see Jordan and his drinking and his gambling. I definitely wouldn't have been able to survive in this era. I feel like when we read these stories and stuff, it's like, oh, Jordan did that. That's fucking hilarious. Go, like, blah, blah, blah. But if like LeBron was doing that or something, everybody would be like, does LeBron need to go to rehab? Is there something?
No.
Is there something wrong with LeBron?
Ellis, I agree.
It's just the troubles of not having a dad in his life. LeBron.
Stop. Oh, God.
No,
Like,
Ellis is 100% right though. Because
I
wonder though. I wonder if you're right, Ellis. Because like we romanticize Michael Jordan now because he was a great player, but we romanticize him as a guy for some reason. Everybody loves that story. It's like he punched his teammate. It's like that's great. It's like no, dude, he's a dick. Like he's not a good human being. And I wonder if this is going to show that side because like people loved playing with him. But like everybody like he's not a good human. Like he never has been. And like he's just intense. He has parties. He gambles. He does like all these things you tell your kids not to do. He does, which is like for me. I respect that even more because man, that's awesome. But people love him. But if any player did that nowadays, they'd get hated on so hard.
Yeah, the problem with Jordan is like, especially when people talk about his big up and coming with Nike and stuff like that, is when a lot of things were going on in the country. I remember like that they specifically were like talking about how like he just never commented on racial stuff.
No, because he wanted his money.
It never was his thing. Like Jordan, he was about his billions. He was wanted to be a billionaire athlete. So that's something he always got trashed for. And like that's a good point. Austin's gonna bring up he's not a good person. I also am interested to see because they're about to for the guys that he stripped titles from, like the Barkleys and the fucking Ewings and stuff. Like I hope that you watch this and see how effortlessly they did it. Like the big thing around the NBA now and like why basketball players are so much better, obviously, is with the way things are and with the human body and things going by. But like guys genuinely work harder in basketball now. Like basketball's a 365 thing. Like from AAU and on, like those guys were playing all around league, like or playing with their friends and stuff like that. But there's a different type of element to it. It's a moneymaker, you know, like especially in that AAU business, like. We'll come back and it'll strike the AAU's very lucrative business that we never looked into. But a lot of the guys just work harder. Holy
Did you just kick your dog?
Yeah. What?
Aubrey's nobody. Dude, she's barking. I think somebody's outside. I'm gonna have to edit that one out.
No, that's staying in. We can't edit the girl's voice. We gotta keep it.
Yeah, Aubrey, no one's there.
But
no,
biggest,
like Oh, Mike,
Go ahead.
Aubrey, thank you, Aubrey. I lost my turn.
Go ahead. No, you're good. You're good. I'm gonna give you back your turn.
No, I was just finishing it with how they just you should have worked. Like the guys work harder now. For those guys back then, how hard did you want it? Like it's always the fun stories about guys that ate fast food and didn't care and drank and went to the club out and stuff like that. Like they just won those 6 titles with guys that didn't at one point weren't showing up around. Like you bring up Rodman, guys that just Jordan that drank and gambled. It just punching the incident, punching Steve Kerr, the Steve Kerr incident and stuff like that. They weren't a great. It wasn't for 6 years this tight knit team that was great, won all this stuff. It was just these guys that just dominated the entire league, and they did it with no remorse. They did it with no remorse, and they just worked harder than everybody else.
But that's the thing you brought up too. It's funny because Michael Jordan gets beat by the Pistons, right? Gets beat by the Celtics, in his first years with Scotty. And then he works, he gets up.
The only times they've ever played a super team.
Yeah.
Just saying, that was the only time they ever played super teams.
Here we go again.
They lost.
But point of the matter is, you can't take away what they did. They did great things against some great players, some great bona fide Hall of Fame players that are not named Paul Pierce, who think that they're Hall of Fame players and are the best in the world. Patrick Ewing, they did it against Barkley, they did it against Malone and Stockton. They did it, and it's good because people underestimate that, and I want to see what they're going to say about it in the sense of they will have the LeBrons, they'll have Kobe, R.I.P. his take before he died of what they thought of Michael Jordan and those Bulls, what they thought of Phil Jackson. Was Phil Jackson even a good coach? It was Phil Jackson given teams that actually made him look good, and did the triangle offense actually fucking work? So I'm excited to see. And
Jordan's that big on that guy. That was a lot of it. When people looked at basketball, a lot of it was God-given talent. And Jordan is that cornerstone guy that you go, that much hard work gets you that.
Yeah.
That you put that together, that's what you get. Holy shit.
Yeah. He always says it all the time. My favorite Jordan commercial of all time was maybe this, maybe that. He's saying shit maybe I led you to believe that it started at the free throw line and nothing, and I didn't work on it every single day. And then at the end he's or maybe you're just making excuses. And I'm just fuck. That shit was wild.
We always argue.
Go on. I was gonna say, I think that the politeness on this podcast. No, I think it is gonna show how much they worked, but I'm interested to see, because a lot of times everybody just talks about their Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, and then Rodman and things of that nature. But man, they've had some key players on that team make key shots. That one shot that Kerr made and things like that nature. So I'm wondering to see this perspective of everybody else, because the forgotten people on those teams who get no credit, they get, even though there were some really good other people on those Bulls teams too. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play into it and what their experience was like playing with Michael Jordan and Pippen and these guys that knew they were better than everybody else. So I'm wondering to see how that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, April 19th, we'll see. It comes out. The first 2 parts. It's going to be 2 parts every night. But boys, I really want to end the show on a high note, and I think this is something we've talked about for a while. And we've been seeing a lot of those pick 3 kind of things, but we'll just pick one for each of us. Our favorite game winners. So I'm going to start with Austin.
Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
And you bringing up game winners, I just want to throw this in there. Speaking of game winners, league lead, all-time lead, LeBron James was 17. Just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. Say it one more time for the people in the back, Alice.
Yeah, let me rephrase that. Not even rephrase that. Let me just say that again.
The most clutch player of all-time history statistically.
LeBron leads the league in game-winning shots with 17 throughout the entire history of the NBA.
That's just statistics right there. Anyways,
so you want me to? So you're saying he can't close out a game before a game winner?
No.
Even in the clutch thing, he has 17 game winners on 50 shot attempts. Kobe had 16 on 56.
All right,
RIP my man, but
all right. So to clarify, though, game winner, we're just talking about the shot that they won off of, right? Because
we're gonna tell me where you were. Tell me where you were, how you felt, what the shot was, and the significance of that shot to you.
All right. Well, mine's got to be obviously Kyrie Irving hitting it over Steph Curry, Game 7, June 19th, 2016.
Shocker.
I can tell you, I was on a stage that basically was just me and 6 other people. It was floating in the middle of the Quicken Loans Arena at that time. It was the stage that now President Donald Trump would later in that summer accept his nominee to be the Republican nomination for president.
You sound like a fan.
I know. I was like, what?
not a fan of him. But that's regardless of the fact, that's just cool that I was on that stage. But it was the beginning part of that stage because the Q was in the contract with the RNC to get ready for it. And luckily, they allowed us to reopen the queue for Game 7, but they already started it, construction. But I was on that stage, and that game was just intense. I blacked out the whole game, honestly, up until they replayed it on ESPN last week. That was the first time I saw it since watching it live, and I didn't remember half the things that happened in that game. But I do remember that shot. I was very happy. I jumped up, but then I really quickly got tense again because there was still a minute left. And I remember my friend Eric, he's my boss at the time. He was to the left of me, and every time something big would happen, he would just kind of punch my arm or we'd high five. And then he shook me there. We're like, let's go. And then obviously we won our championship. I cried like a little baby. It's the first and only time I've ever cried of happiness. And
so rephrase it.
What?
You know how you cried.
Like a little bitch. And then but dude, that I was telling you, that night was the most magical night ever. It was obviously, Alice, you're somewhat of you're a LeBron fan. You're from Columbus, but man,
love LeBron.
I worked in sports. I grew up a Cleveland fan. I've worked it for all Cleveland sports teams. It's just something I can't describe of how happy I actually was. I don't know if I'll ever be that happy again, even if another team wins another championship, just because it was the first one ever. It was first time in 52 years.
Stop.
I was working for them.
Stop.
I just don't think it will ever happen again.
Listen,
but that was awesome.
I'm very happy for Cleveland that night. I was when I was here in Virginia and I watched it, and that was the first time in my life thought about catching a red eye to Cleveland just to see it burn down.
Buddy, hey, 0 arrest that night. 0 arrest.
Boy, what about you, Ellis? What was your favorite game winner, and where were you, and how you felt and all that shit?
It's tough. It was tough. I think this was one of them in the one they posted, but 2015 Eastern Conference semis. You guys know what game I'm talking about. I'm normally LeBron. Aubrey.
She took a shit, didn't she?
No, she's ripping some paper up. What is that? No. No. No, you gotta eat that. Hold on.
And for all of you that just did not know, Aubrey is Ellis's dog. And my man was just watching it happen and was like, what's she eating? And then just got up and left.
You gotta always be ready, man.
So I guess I'll go for mine. Should I just
go ahead, Mike? Yeah, you go, Mike. I think I know what yours is too, though. Quite obvious as a Heat fan. Which one's yours?
I mean, as a Heat fan, I'd be very, very dumb.
It's a rough time to have these infants, man.
Here, I'm starting mine because you just said
you'll end it, Ellis.
Okay.
Obviously, I was done. It was I think it was just a random Thursday. Obviously, the Heat were against the Bulls. This was before LeBron got there. Wade County, of course. We were losing by 20, and I was about to turn off the TV. Then Wade kept coming and coming and coming. And the next thing you know, it was overtime. And I was like, all right, we got to win this game. It was tied up. Ben Gordon, out of all people, had the ball. And at that time, if people don't know who Ben Gordon was, he was a great Bulls player. before Derrick Rose got there. So D-Wade stole the ball. Wade with the steal. Got to the 3-point line. Wade with the 3, hits it. That's when he got up on the scores table, told everybody it was his house. I just got done with, I think it was just homecoming that night. I think we had homecoming on a Thursday because Friday we were off. So I was done making out with this girl.
Yeah, right.
Me,
Whoa, yeah, right.
done getting an
Yeah,
HJ,
right.
done getting an HJ in the car, and I caught that
Lies.
video.
Lies.
And
How
y'all
your dick
can
feel?
fact check.
How your dick feel when you be capping on him like that?
Well, I jizzed right when D-Wade hit that shot, so it was wild that she thought it was her. So
That I believe. That part I believe.
No, but in all
not that it was
honesty-
in somebody.
in all honesty, it was a great shot. It was probably one of the hypest moments of my life because, I mean, at that time, D-Wade was the only good player that the Heat had because Shaq left and it was before the Big Three. So seeing them beat a playoff team like that, it was great. But
Now, you didn't like it better in his retirement year when he did that? Because that was freaking insane, too.
Well, the reason why I liked that one better is because he actually got up on the scores table and did not fall off. Like,
my man, dude, the years took a beating on his knees. He couldn't make it, all right?
my man fell way too many times. And my man said I fell 7 times, got up 8. I was like, I believe it. Like, I believe it, dog. Like, but Ellis, what about you, big dog? What was yours?
Mine was it's shocking to which one I'm gonna say is because it's against obviously the king of all kings, LeBron, but it was very sentimental to me because I was a big D Rose guy. I think everybody was a big D Rose guy. If you weren't, you weren't appreciating basketball back then. But when they were at Game 3, you guys know what I'm talking about. It came off that inbound, hit that 3. I remember Austin. We were pledged at the time. We were talking about that game before it happened. We were like, yeah. I think you were like kind of like shook because the Cavs weren't playing that good. Series was tied. I remember we were all talking about the series. It was like they went up 2-1. We were like, dude, what are the Cavs fucking doing? Like, are the Bulls really gonna pull this one out? Because then they just did not look good that series. Because it was the first series they went to the playoffs, and I don't know. We were just talking about that, but that game winner hit hard because I don't know. You could just tell for D Rose that was like the best thing that had happened to him, basketball, like sports wise, in years. And like I don't know, you feel like you appreciate to see that shit because you could tell how hard he worked to get back, to at least get back to running on that court.
Yeah,
was his last great moment in Chicago.
It's his hometown as well as his
that
draft
was
town.
great. That was great. That was a great game winner. But I mean, the next game right after that, there was another pretty good game winner.
No.
Is that Aubrey again?
I feel like he's yelling at Aubrey. Now he's gone. Oh, man. But no, I mean, like, I see what you guys say about D Rose, man. I mean, I'm the same way. D Rose was a guy that I respected, in the sense of like, man, I say it all the time. Like, his body was not meant to be that springy. Like, his body, dude, it was like legit, like how I see like people jumping on like those boxes in the gym. It's like that type of impact where you just hear that.
Yeah, my man wasn't meant to be that athletic, but
no, his
I'll
body.
Say this, Derrick Rose, that series too. I will remember as a Cavs fan how vividly annoying it was. Like, dude, we kept turning to each other like when we were working, like when we were watching the games live, or just when we were at the watch parties. We're like, dude, what the hell? This man has no knees. Like, he shouldn't be able to be doing this anymore. And he was just annoyingly great as a Cavs fan, as everybody else just enjoyed him. But like, he was really, really good for the type of player he was at that time. He was like,
yeah, I mean,
when D Rose hit that game winner, he was not the same quality player anymore. But that series he played like it. Not just that game, that whole series. It was so annoying how good he was. Again, coming out of Cavs.
He just wanted to prove he had something left in the tank, which we saw when he went to Minnesota and hit that 40 game, and he actually hasn't been that bad.
Which we saw this year. He was looking great this year. I wish I could pull up the stats on if we weren't cutting this in, but he was great this year.
But hey, man, hopefully we get more game winners probably here in 2019.
Let him know what's on tap next week, Mike.
Yo, so we actually talked about it. So the NFL always comes out with an all-decade team. So guess what we're doing, boys? We're gonna pick our all-decade NBA team and then our all-defensive NBA team. So it's gonna be very contentious. I can already tell, but I feel like we have three players. I'm gonna say three players we have to be in agreement on because I feel like if you're not, you're
not being real.
Like just for like a sneak peek of what the blasphemy that might come from your side is Dwyane Wade going to be on your all-decade team?
No, I told Austin.
Okay,
Dwyane Wade is not on my all-decade team.
This was wondering.
Because that means I would have to take away the two players that I talked about, and I think they had way better, I guess, 2010 to 2020 10-year stretches. D Wade would have been on my all 2000 to 2010 years. Yes, 100%.
Oh.
Him and Kobe.
Kobe for sure.
Kobe,
RIP to go. Mama out.
Yeah,
he's not gonna be on next week's list though.
Yeah, let's be honest. The one person probably gonna be on our list is LeBron because if I don't pick
the man went to 7 straight finals in the 2000 in that decade. There was a year. Last year was the first year in this decade that he didn't go, I think.
Well, I mean, it's like it's like kind of like from the Anchorman. Like I fucking hate him, but I respect him. So, anyways, but you know what? Next week episode, please check it out. Check out our last.
Definitely next week's episode is gonna be fire.
So check out our last 2 episodes. Austin has been a great addition. Thank you, Austin, for being on here. Ellis, as always, you've been the bull, my man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sponsored by Four Corners Radio.
Please check us out on Four Corners Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check out all our other podcasts, not just Hoopin' and Hollerin', but
OnlyFans.
Nice guys. Bread and Butter, Free Therapy, Degenerates Are Us, 5 Holers, and what the fuck did I just? And us. So there you go.
Mike, you need to get me on Face of the Franchise so I could talk about how Stephon Diggs' career is about to end.
Jesus Christ.
Honestly, I might need to bring
they all end in Buffalo. Everybody's career, especially as a receiver, ends in Buffalo.
Jesus Christ.
As always, please be safe. Stay inside. Do not harm anybody's loved ones. Do not harm yourselves. So always stay breezy, stay easy, and one love.
Stay beautiful, cover girls. Jesus Christ.
Farmers only.